Introduce the candidates, not that they necessarily need it, but here they are, alphabetical order. Norm Coleman, a Republican, currently serving his second term as mayor of St. Paul. Hubert Humphrey III, a Democrat, finishing his fourth term as the state's attorney general. And Jesse Ventura, a Reform Party member and former mayor of Brooklyn Park. Now, each of our panelists will ask questions of the candidates with options to follow up and move on. There's no stopwatches here. We're going to try to keep this loose and informal, and we're going to start with Colleen Needles.
All right, thanks, Ken. Gentlemen, Northwest Airlines dominates the airline business in this state, and I think that was very evident during the strike when it was difficult to get in and out of this state. A recent study just showed that we pay businesses and consumers here 45% more for airfare in the state than in other states. And now they are proposing a merger with Continental, and the Justice Department is taking issue with that, saying it's going to hurt competition. What role... We have to live with the airline. What role do you think the state, Norm, let's start with you, the state should play in trying to increase competition or give consumers a better deal in this state?
Colleen, there's really a balance that you need here. First of all, competition drives quality, and then competition will drive down costs. So we have to play a more active and aggressive role in trying to generate and ensure some measure of competition at our airport. And we've seen that with the issue over prices. On the other hand, the other piece of balance is Northwest Airlines is, I think, the largest employer in the state of Minnesota. So you want to keep the jobs here. You want to keep the job, but we have to be much, much more aggressive than we have been in the past. I've challenged the Attorney General on that when other AGs came together, went to court to push the issue of competition. We didn't join in that measure. I think we need to be more aggressive than we've been, but we don't want to blow away Northwest Airlines. Keep them here, grow the jobs, and bring more competition into our airport.
Let's hear from the Attorney General on that.
Well, I think that what Northwest Airlines needs is a healthy dose of competition. And frankly, I think the Department of Justice is saying the same thing in its recent litigation that it started. But the key to this is not to jump into a lawsuit at the state level. It's making sure that we have the kind of competition in the framework of federal laws that will allow for that openness of competition so that consumers actually have a choice. Colleen, you raise a very good point. When that airline shut down, we couldn't do anything. So we need to make sure that we're balancing not only the competition side, but the high quality of workers that are there, the people that are employed. This is an important employer in our state and an industry, and very important, of course, as a hub if we're going to continue to have access to the global markets and the world itself. But on the other hand, we need to have that kind of framework of choice, and I think it's very important that we see that kind of competition take place.
Well, I know a lot about Northwest Airlines. I have, I think 1.2 million frequent flyer miles, so I've frequented Northwest Airlines quite often throughout my career. But yes, I agree. You know, competition drives the prices down. We need to open up the airport. We need to allow more gates for competitive airlines because we don't want to get frozen again. If something happens to Northwest Airlines, we can't allow our city and our industry here in Minnesota to face being backed and cornered into a corner like that. And I agree, too, that certainly Northwest is a huge employer. We want to ensure that their success continues here in the state of Minnesota. But we're just one of 3 hubs of Northwest. They also have Memphis and Detroit. And as far as the merger, well, that's in litigation, that's the court system, and that's the judicial end of government, and so that's where it'll be handled.
Gentlemen, the state bailed out Northwest Airlines at one time. What about incentives? Are you in favor of incentives to get other airlines to come in? That's been the big gripe that airlines have had who've tried to come into this market, that people simply weren't flying them or it just was too difficult for them to gain a toehold here.
Now, I think you've got to look at, first of all, the Metropolitan Airport Commission. We need to make sure that it's opening up gates to other airlines so that we have that opportunity. Jeff, you raised the question about, on another debate, about the business of the contracts and the agreements that were made. My understanding from what I've been able to check on is that, in fact, they are on, Northwest is meeting its obligations now under those contracts to expand the jobs and the opportunities for expanded business. But I think it's not only what the company itself can do and the private sector, it's also what state government through the metropolitan airports can do to see that we have that access as consumers to a wider variety of airlines.
The issue of incentives is such that if the incentives don't ensure that the competition can continue, then the incentives are really worthless. In other words, what you've got to do is you've got to make sure that other airlines have a competitive opportunity so that they can exist. It's not enough to just say, we'll give you some bucks to get you in here, if in fact you can't make it in the marketplace. And you do work through the Metropolitan Airport Commission, but other companies have to make, the private sector has to make some decisions about their ability to operate in this market. So we can play a role. But in the end, if you put some bucks on the table, if you can't compete and sustain the competition, then those dollars get wasted.
Okay, let's head out near the airport. We're going to go to the Mall of America, where we have some citizens. We got a question.
Hi, my name is Dan Gears from South Minneapolis, and as a teacher, I couldn't agree more that we need more parental involvement in education. I would like some real-world, concrete examples on how you plan to involve parents in education.
Okay, Jesse Ventura.
Well, I plan to involve parents by going back to the neighborhood schools again, like it was when I went to public school at Minneapolis Roosevelt High School, Sanford Junior High, and Cooper Grade School. You go back to neighborhood schools, then you can get parental involvement, you have strong PTAs, and you have the school become the focal point of that neighborhood, and it tumbles on down, dealing with crime, it deals with everything. It creates an identity for the neighborhood. We need to get back to local schools like that. We also need to lower those class sizes, and the money's been appropriated. But our legislature seems to not, they write laws that if the money gets to the local districts, but there's loopholes, it's being allowed to be spent on other things. We need to tighten that up and get back to that 17-to-1 ratio, which we already have a law that says that's supposed to happen right now. So that's what Jesse Ventura will do. Jesse Ventura sends his kids to public schools, so Jesse Ventura believes in the public school system.
You know, parents and students, their children, need to be involved not only K through 12, but frankly, we need to have more involvement even at the very earliest stages, and that is where parents need to have much more discretion and help from people and from the state government, and that is where child care comes into account. That's why in our budget, Roger Moe's and my budget, we propose a significant tax cut that will help parents have that kind of involvement at the early stages of their life, and we invest at the very early stages as well. But it is not only community schools that we have to be involved with. I was involved with our PTA out in the Robbinsdale School District, along with my wife, all through the time that our children were going to school there. But in addition, you've got to make sure that you have it for charter schools and for the alternative learning centers. Those are areas where parents need to be a key part. That's where most of the learning takes place. It's not in the schoolroom. It's frankly in the family and the home.
Let me give you some specifics, because that's what you really asked for. First, you're right. Parents being involved in kids' education is probably one of the most significant things we can do to make sure our kids are better and smarter and are better educated. Site-based management. Get parents and teachers involved at the local level, making decisions about spending decisions, not the bureaucrats in St. Paul. The whole issue of profiling, I want to give you, the teachers and parents, I want you to be involved in telling us, the state, how we meet the high standards and accountability that we're demanding. We want high standards. We want accountability. But I want to take the mandates off your shoulder. I want to stop having the bureaucrats tell you, here's exactly what you have to teach. I will have parents. I'll give you the opportunity. I'll give you the opportunity. Parents, teachers working together to decide how we're going to meet the high standards. And finally, what we need is community schools. We've done that in St. Paul with Achievement Plus. We've got places in the school should be a center for the community. Jesse's right, neighborhood schools, but beyond that. So if we can give parents an opportunity to be involved, community schools, if we can really give them the opportunity to work with you on curriculum so that we can meet the high standards, and then you do site-based management, you'll have a real parental involvement, you'll have better educated kids, and we're going to have a better Minnesota.
I'd like to ask a follow-up on the community schools. Are you comfortable when a school district goes to community schools and then what happens is that schools get resegregated?
I don't have a problem with it at all, because to me the ultimate, I think, and I stated this right in the heart of North Minneapolis in front of a huge African American, and they applauded and cheered, so they don't have a problem. And I'd like to add that I chose May Shunk as my lieutenant governor. Here's a woman that can't always go out and campaign. Why? She's teaching children every day. You want to find out the problems about school? Ask a teacher. They know what's happening out there.
Skip Humphrey, what about resegregation?
You raise a very good point. It's fine if you just have those community schools, but you need to make sure you have all of the other options available in every part of our state, in every school district of our state. If we're going to desegregate on the basis of community schools and the other kinds of choices, we need to make sure that the resources are there, the investment is made. And it's fine to make all of these statements about how we're going to have new standards and all the rest, but frankly, you got to be able to put the money, the resources, where you're saying your message. And the fact is that Roger Moe and I are the only ones that make substantial investments that allow us to actually have those standards in place. That's real important.
Force busing has been a terrible failure. We should get rid of it. You know, talk to the moms of the kids in Cedar County in Minneapolis about what you can do with a neighborhood school. We should be able to have strong neighborhood schools, a firm commitment, financial commitment, absolutely, but we should get rid of forced busing. It has been a failure. It's hurting kids. It's not helping kids.
Okay, we're now going to go to what we call a speed question. That means a one-word answer. All right, gentlemen? And Pat Miles gets to ask it.
I just need a one-word answer, gentlemen, and it's not a yes or no question, but if you were not a candidate in this election, Jesse, who would you vote for?
Who would I vote for if
That's
I were
the
not a
question.
candidate in this election? That's a tough question. That's a very hard question, and
It's just one word answer, Jesse.
pardon me?
Just one name answer.
Just one name answer. Who would I vote for if I were not a candidate?
Either the guy to the left or the guy to the right, or there's
This is all- this is
or
all
there's
the-
minor party.
These are the candidates. Jesse, these are the candidates.
Minor party guys, of course.
All those Democrats are going to spend us to death. Come on.
Now, wait a moment. I thought we had one-word answers.
Kim Pantel.
Hey.
You
Go
asked me
ahead,
next?
Jim.
Norm Coleman.
Norm?
I'd write in Norm Coleman.
That's not an answer. That's not an answer.
I think I'd write in with great respect for the work Skip's done as Attorney General and great respect for all the issues that Jesse's raised. I'd write in somebody not at this table. I think I'd write in Pt.1.
All right, there you go. Let's go to a regular question now. Jeff Passel.
Okay, I want to get back to incentives just a little bit, not to beat on the same thing all night long, but recently Nordic Track CML announced that they're having very difficult problems. Thousands of people laid off, tens of thousands of square footage of warehouse space in the Chaska-Chanhassen area will be empty now. There has been talk about incentives that help out Minnesota businesses, and we're talking about a business here that's a prototype in its market that's known around the world, and so therefore you would think that the state takes great pride in the fact that it's being produced here and developed here. Should the state step in and help out corporations like this? Could the state have stepped in and helped out in this case? And I believe we are starting with Norm.
You know, the best way to help business, Jeff, is to cut taxes. Cut regulation. We try. Make sure, by the way, we don't do what the Attorney General's considered roll back workers' comp reform. You roll back that and you then increase the cost of doing business. So the best way to help business is to make sure that we cut taxes, we cut regulation, we make sure that we have quality folks available. One of the single biggest issues today are qualified workers, quality education, use a technical college to train people for the specific jobs that are out there. But that's the way you do it. You do it by shaping. I cannot make any business more competitive. I can't sell their product, but I can affect the environment. Cut taxes. That's what I. St. Paul got 8,000 more jobs. Cutting taxes.
Let me ask a quick follow-up. But the question is that when a business is foundering, where do you draw the line?
This is a company that seemed to have it all, and in a few short years started to slip. Some of the signs were there.
So where do you draw the
Should the
line?
state step in?
Where do you draw the line on yes, we will provide some
The
help?
marketplace is going to have its ups and downs, and businesses are going to succeed, and some are not going to be able to succeed.
Why is the
But sure,
Attorney
you need to
General
have tax cuts.
sweating
That's
so
why I've got $1
much?
billion
Look
in
at
permanent
Humphrey's
income
lip.
tax cuts, $340 million worth
Why is he
of property
sweating?
tax cuts, which are very important to businesses. But most important, if you ask any CEO, is to make absolutely certain that the state is investing in good public education so that we have the best talented, best trained, best educated workforce. That is what the demand is, combined with transportation so that people can get to the work, combined with affordable housing, so
Just
that
an
they can live closer
FYI,
to the job.
this is from
That is where the role of the state of
1998.
Minnesota becomes.
Let me say it
Those are the
again here on
incentives,
Guardian of Chaos,
the
the
basic
YouTube channel.
fabric and baselines that will help our businesses grow.
1998. Here in a time
Government
machine.
is not there to ensure that every business succeeds. Government can't do that. If a business succeeds or fails out in the free marketplace, you can't go looking to government to bail them all out. Because then how do you pick and choose? Which business gets help, which doesn't? You know, you're creating a dilemma there beyond belief. Certainly we need to create an environment, again, cut taxes, cut regulations, and make it so that businesses can succeed here in the state of Minnesota. But beyond that, that's private enterprise. There's a separation between private enterprise and government. And I don't believe that government can be getting involved in ensuring that a business succeeds. Again, which one do you pick then?
What happens when you provide the incentives, and you suggest that Northwest is on track now, but in essence, they're 2 years behind their part of the agreement?
My understanding, and I've checked on this, Jeff, is that indeed they are meeting all of their obligations at this time. But let me just suggest there is a distinction between what NordiTrack is going through, and I hope that they're able to turn that around. I hope they can, when they go, sometimes when you go into bankruptcy, if it's reorganization, you can turn it around, you give that kind of protection for a while from creditors, and you can come back even stronger. We've seen that. And that's part of what the bankruptcy laws are all about. But there is a distinction between that kind of a company and when we're talking about Northwest, which is one of the fundamental key elements for all other businesses. The transportation area.
This guy's a legacy politician.
For our access to
I don't
all
like
of
him.
the other markets. So that's where
I didn't like
think
the
that
Hubert
perhaps you can
Humphrey
draw a little bit of
Metrodome
line
either, where the
when there
Twins
is such
played
a
baseball.
fundamental importance
It was a
to
shithole.
so many other businesses.
Pardon my
as part of our
language.
society, and
And
that's
my
why
commentary.
The state of Minnesota on a bipartisan
But it's the great
basis
debate
got
tonight.
involved, with Northwest when they were
The
in
great
trouble
debate
because
tonight.
It affected so many others.
Kamala and Trump.
Just going to stop it right here. Let's go back out to the Mall of America. We have another question from another citizen.
Tonight, Kamala and Trump.
Minnesota, and my parents are elderly. My father takes a number of medications. He finds that the cost of medications makes it very difficult for him to continue to pay those costs. He is very concerned about the fact that he's paying hundreds of dollars for medications. I would like to know what the gubernatorial candidates will do to help decrease the cost of prescription drugs for seniors.
Excellent question.
Who wants to take it?
I'll jump on it quickly. I find it very interesting. You know, you never hear the professional politician, the career politician, complaining about his medical situation and his HMO or his retirement. Notice that, first of all. They don't have a problem because they can pick and choose what they want and how they voted. I think that maybe, you know, we've got an excess of tobacco money that has been collected now via settlement, and taxes are now collected via the court system, which is a novel new idea. But that money is coming in, and I think that might be a proper place to spend some of it to ensure that the elderly are not missing meals trying to pay for prescription drugs. And then, of course, federally, we need to work on them getting Medicare and Medicaid up better.
Norm Coleman?